youngsters, youths, baby faces. Yes, I am talking to you, you silly willies. If you've been feeling old lately, you shouldn't, because you have your whole life ahead of you. My youth was challenged this week momentarily when, for the first time, I heard the song Rick and Morty by Soulja Boy. To my prepubescent 30-plus-year-olds, Soulja Boy sang the Superman line dance that you pretend to know how to do well at the end of weddings. And guess what? That do impress me much. I am here to tell you the Billboard Top 10 this week. So, when you get stopped on the street to take your Are You a Young Person pop quiz, you know what the hottest songs are and more. No diggity? No doubt. Number 10, Jail by Kanye West. This song is about Calabasas, the jail that Kanye West was in from 2013 to 2021. Number 9, Fancy Like by Walter Hayes, son of Isaac Hayes, voice of Chef on South Park, and this song is like Fancy by Iggy Azalea, but not quite. Number 8, Levitatin' by Dua Lipa, not the version with DaBaby. That's right, DaBaby. The Billboard Top 100 has spoken. Speaking of babies, number 7, Industry Baby by Lil Nas X and Jack Harlow, not to be confused with Jack Sparrow. When Lil Nas X was living in a studio in Industry City, and one night he was walking and a rat ran in front of him. He jumped out of his skin. A homeless man screamed, "Hey, grow a pair, you baby." Thus, the nickname Industry Baby was created. Number 6, Hurricane by Kanye West. In an Aruban timeshare with Scott Disick, Scott introduced his favorite cocktail, the Hurricane. Then he cried happy tears about how he liked butt plugs more than he expected to, passed out on the table, and Kanye had to carry him up to his bed and tuck him in. Number 5, Kiss Me More by Doja Cat. This one is about love languages. Number 4, Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo. This is the song that sounds like that Paramore song. You know the one. On par with Hands Down by Dashboard. Keep up, millennials. Number 3, Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran. This is a passive-aggressive pop tune directed at none other than James Corden. He knows what he did. Number 2 is Stay by Justin Bieber and someone else. This is about a blackjack game gone right. Number 1 is Butter by BTS. It's about butter, you dirty dogs. Dairy makes you sing.
Time for
Duh.
Rocket.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a great week? If not, shake it off like a Taylor Swift hit, bitch. You're here with me now. Mama'll make it better. I discovered a new song this week that I absolutely love called Up and Rollin' by North Mississippi All-Stars. Let's all take a deep breath and let's manifest having them on the show, shall we? And check out the song. That's all. Have we noticed that the cost of Peloton bikes has gone down? That's right, $49 to $39. Does anyone else think it's suspicious that the price went down the same week unemployment ended? I do. And because of that, I will not be participating in this Peloton fad. I'm putting my foot down. Not on the pedal of a luxury stationary bike, but I am putting it down. The people united will never be divided. Plus, I need money for weed. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, hats make people hotter. Number 2, I am here for the second coming of Bennifer, and I am always sending them good vibes. Number 3, while knee-deep in a bowl of cheesy quinoa and rotisserie chicken, I saw a commercial for New York. Is it a good thing or a bad thing when you see a commercial to visit your city? I genuinely don't know. Number 4, how much is too much quinoa? My guest this week is comedian Anthony Moore. I had the absolute pleasure of seeing Anthony perform live, and I knew immediately I wanted to have him on. His wild word is random, and I gotta say this, his story is not only wild, it's beautiful, it's hopeful, it's inspiring, and guys, It's definitely one of my favorites to date. So thank you, Anthony, for sharing it here. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. And guess what? If you like to diddle on YouTube, Wild Nights has a YouTube page, so subscribe to it. You can watch extended interviews with all my guests there. To those of you who have written a kind and helpful review so far, thank you so much. It really does make a difference. If you are a tried and true member of the Party God Squad, do me the solid and write a review. You've had 41 episodes. Thanks, everybody. It was an absolute joy to have my guest on this week, so please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Anthony Moore. Anthony, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you. I think you're hysterical, and I'm excited to have you on my show. This is great. I'm excited to hear your Wild Night story. How is your end of the summer winding up? Have you had a great summer?
Um, it's it's been relaxing.
Good.
It's definitely been relaxing. I just honestly, I don't know how other comics feel, but I've just been enjoying this like little break, as to say, away from comedy. Just so it's been nice.
Would you
Like
say the break is a little bit of a reset for you that you didn't even know you
definitely,
needed? Yeah.
definitely. Because I mean, it's like now I am back to performing, back to doing the live shows, but at the same time, it's not as hectic as it was before pre-pandemic as far as like the grinding and um just like the whole grind of comedy,
Yeah.
especially New York comedy, where it's like you just bouncing spot to spot, and so it's refreshing to see everybody again, but it's also just been relaxing
Have
having
you
some time away.
have you found that you've gotten closer to comedians you didn't think you would be close to, or made some new friendships over the past year and a half?
I'm
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot about myself. I definitely had to step out of my comfort zone.
Right.
um as far as like doing
Mm-hmm.
Zoom comedy has definitely brought me closer to like I work with comics that I never got the chance to work with before. Just even like working with guys in different states,
Yeah.
like through the laptop. So it's definitely just taught me a lot.
Good, good. Yeah,
Definitely taught
I
me.
I would agree with that too. It was a unique discovery being like, "Oh, we're all on Zoom." If I'm talking to, my cousins in a different time zone, I can talk to other entertainers in a different
Right.
time zone. And
Mhm.
you make these friends that are, I guess, a little random.
Right.
So Anthony's wild word was random, and that wild word gives me nothing other than this is going to be a random story with no details. So Anthony, give us the juicy details. Give us everything. Everyone's excited to hear your wild night story. Random.
uh, it's so funny. Wait, can you hear my puppy like starting to murmur a little bit?
I hear a little murmuring. What is your puppy's name?
His name is Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, and he's just staring at me like he don't care about the story at all. He just wants to go play.
Has he heard
Um,
an episode before? Because I think if he has heard an episode before, he might care about the story.
so my random story, it goes back. Oh wow, he's trying to be all up in the camera. My random story, it goes back to 2017 actually.
Okay, so about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2017. So early 2017. So at this point, I'm struggling, just another broke comic in New York, just trying to figure out the whole grind of things. I was living in New York for about, I want to say, a year and a few months at this point. So
And
when
you're
I
originally
moved up,
from Philly, correct?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
from Philly. So when I moved to New York, my transition it wasn't as hard as other comics have it from different towns, just because it's so many Philly guys up here already.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to navigate. You have vets on all different levels. And
And people looking out for you that you didn't even probably know, just having that common ground of being from Philly.
right. And so what happened? So at this point I recorded a show on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
So at this point, My transition was easy. So when I moved up to New York, I started getting things a lot quicker than other comics. So
Because of who you knew.
it was kind of like who I knew. It was a combination of things. It was
Yeah.
like who I knew. I was ready for certain opportunities and just like some of the work that I put in when I was in Philly. So my first few months up here, I mean, I wasn't really working many clubs. Like, have you heard of LOL Comedy Club?
Actually, I used to work at Ha Comedy Club as a cocktail waitress years ago, and Ha Comedy Club evolved into LOL Comedy Club. So yes, I do know it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you know how terrible, like just on a level of scale when it comes to New York comedy, like
I know
where
deep in
LOL
my
ranks.
yes, deep in my
Yes.
soul, I know where LOL ranks. Very much
Yeah.
so. Yes.
So when I moved up here, that was like the main spot I was that was like the main spot I was working. Like I would get a few spots at the stand every once in a while, but it was
Yeah.
like really just hanging around at LOL because it was the easiest to get work at.
Right. Right.
And for those that don't know, LOL club in Times Square, where it's like you see the people outside saying, "Hey, Comedy Central Showcase." It's not a Comedy Central Showcase.
Absolutely
It's
not.
a bunch of open micers. I mean, you will have some funny guys on the show,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but man, it is when they tell you you're going to see Tina Fey. It's like when has she done stand up?
No.
Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not about to see Tina Fey or
It's not
Seinfeld.
happening.
You're going to
Dave
see
Chappelle's not popping in.
yeah, you're going to see a bunch of guys that's new to the city, but it's great in the sense of you get to perform for a diverse crowd.
Yeah, yeah. It's extremely diverse, all different
Mm,
countries, nationalities, everybody.
yeah,
All over
yeah.
the US. Yeah.
So at this time, so I was performing there mostly, and then in 2000, early 2016, I had recorded a show for Comedy Central,
Hmm.
called Heart of the City. It was Kevin Hart Comedy Central show.
Yeah.
I taped that, and that show was basically to spotlight comedians from different comedy scenes that aren't New York or LA. So he had me on there representing the Philadelphia episode. So that went great. And then I taped that in April of 2016. Now fast forward to September. September, I had lost my job. I
Okay.
used to work at a school. I was working at a school in Brooklyn. And I got fired. A kid lied and said I hit him and
But you just tapped him. No, I'm just
no,
kidding.
right. No, like yeah, it was my hand was open. No, no, it was what happened. I was working at a school. I used to work one to one with kids that with just behavior intellectual challenges.
Yeah.
And at this school, I had took off the week prior to go on
Uh-huh.
vacation. And it was like it was a new principal, new a bunch of new teachers there that weren't familiar with the students. And it was like I worked at the school the previous year. So I knew these kids. And this kid, he was eating animal crackers in class, like throwing them at other students.
Gotcha.
So I took the animal crackers from him, threw them in the trash. So now I'm in a classroom, come back from my lunch break. A principal and another administrator comes into the classroom. They say, Anthony, um, they say, Mr. Anthony will be sending you home. I said, did something happen? They said, we'll let your agency know. And I'm like, you're not going to tell me?
Yeah.
So come to find out, so then later I get a call. They were like, from the job agency that I work for. They were like, did you hit a student? I said, no, I'm in a classroom with teachers all the time. Like, there's no way I could hit a kid and
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
not see it. So I had to go through this whole long process in order to clear my name in order to be able to work again. But this took months.
Right.
So from September to about I didn't start working again until I want to say like the last week of January
Hmm.
or last week or the first week of February. Like I
Right.
was broke. Like
It
if
was
it
a
wasn't
while.
from
Yeah.
yeah, if it wasn't for my mom and my girl, I don't know. There's no way I would have been able to make it.
They were really in
Like
your
just
corner. Yeah.
like yeah, just financially and mentally.
Right.
Like
Right.
I was just going through it. So now I'm able to work again. I'm able to work again, and throughout this time, like I said, like I was performing at LOL, but they weren't paying me anything,
Right.
and I'm also at other places, at other clubs. I'm just just still I'm new to the scene, and even though I taped this Comedy Central show, I mean, there's so many guys up here with Comedy Central credits, and
Yeah.
I'm on a brand new show, so it really didn't do too much for me.
It wasn't helping you to stand out. It was a credit that gave you a little bit of validation, but it wasn't the credit that was going to make you stand out from the pack. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, we all
Sure.
did this too. Yeah.
Right. So fast forward to so now it's February.
Okay.
February of 2017. Able to work again, just doing LOL and check spots. So one night I had a
And just so everyone knows, Anthony just said he was doing check spots. If you
yeah,
don't know what a check spot is the point in the comedy show when the server comes around with the checks. So
right.
it's and everyone has to pay. So it's a little bit of it's a very difficult spot for a stand up to do because they're competing with people going through their wallets saying you owe this, you owe that. So it's not an easy spot to work.
Right. And so now February, what was this? February 2000, yeah, February 2017. So I remember one night, me and two of my friends, we hang around the village for a little bit, and then no, where were we at? We were actually around 14th Street. We did a bar show around 14th Street, and then like we went to Five Guys, got something to eat real quick, and then we all get on the train to go our separate way. And I'm thinking like, do I want to stop at the cellar tonight? Because usually that's how we end our night, like
Yeah,
hanging
yeah,
around
of
at the
course.
cellar getting wings. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna just go home. And I get home, and one of my friends, I have a comedy group chat. He was like, yo, come on her at the cellar tonight. And I'm thinking like, damn, I should have stopped by.
Yeah.
So, because it's like, how often does he come around? So then the next night, I had a check spot, and this is like the most random night of my. This is why, like, I say random because I did not expect this at
Yeah.
all. I'm doing a check spot at Stand Up New York. It's a, it's like the show wasn't that many people there on Friday night show doing a check spot, and one of my friends he texted me. He was like, "Yo, Kevin Hart at New York Comedy Club."
Oh my
And I'm thinking
gosh.
like, damn, I want to come down there, but I'm all the way on the Upper West Side,
Right.
and I still have to perform. So, but I'm like, and I told my girl that I would meet up with her to get dinner that night.
Right.
So I'm thinking, how can I make this work? So I do my spot, and then I'm thinking, I'm like, I text my girl, I was like, hey, you want to go get some wings at the cellar? And because I know where other big comedians are in town, they go hang at the
They go
cellar.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So to her, she thinking I'm just trying to get something to eat there. It's like, no, I'm
I'm trying to network with
yeah,
Kevin Hart.
right, yeah. But I only met him one time before, so I didn't know how he was going to react, if he would remember me or not.
Hmm.
So then I go in, I see all these big guys around him. So now I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Cause you know how small the olive tree is
Yeah.
like
It's
it's really
cramped.
intimate.
Yeah.
Like it's a really intimate setting. So I see all these big guys around him. So now I'm really nervous and I don't want to go over to talk. And then I look, and it was a security. It was actually LeBron James and Tristan Thompson and like a few other players on the Cavs. And this, and this,
In the olive tree.
yeah, and this actually let me know, like from this moment, I it made me actually really careful about who I talk shit about too, like celebrity
Yeah.
wise, because I used to always talk shit about Tristan Thompson. I just like I was at the time I was a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
say. I was a fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Big Kris Jenner fan over here. So I talked a lot of shit about Tristan Thompson.
No, I used to say like, oh my god, like he's just wasting so much money. Like we
Yeah.
wasted so much money on him contract wise, and he's just trash. So I'm like, damn, like all this shit I talked about him for years is like now like he's in my face.
He's in my face and he's big.
Right. So I see them. So now I'm really scared, but I'm like, I'm gonna just stand by the door. So if they leave, they at least gotta see me.
Yeah. They
So,
probably looked like the real life Monstars in the original Space Jam,
right,
like next to Kevin Hart.
right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So now, what did I do? So
You were waiting by the door for them.
yeah. So now I'm waiting by the door with my girl. Like we just sitting at a table, and I see Kev walk by. No, first actually LeBron he got up to like LeBron and a few other players they got up to leave, and Kevin Hart is behind them like I guess to say bye, and then I called him. And like Kev, he's just like a nice person. So like if
Yeah.
somebody wants to take a picture with him or something, like he usually let them. So he was just like, wait, I'll be right back. And then I called him again. And when he looked and saw it was me, he was like, oh shit, and ran up and gave me a hug. And that just blew my mind right there. The fact that like he's with them and like would stop to just talk to me. And it
Right.
was like, yeah, I did his TV show, but he works with so many people.
Of
So I
course.
didn't
Yeah.
know how
On
he
a
would
daily
react.
basis, too.
Right. And then he was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm about to go record a set. I'm about to go downstairs and record a set. Um, well, because he wanted to work on new material.
Right.
So he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this set, and you and your girl, y'all could come down and watch. I got you. So I'm thinking like, all right, yeah, that sounds cool. But then he ended up going downstairs and forgot to take me. So when he came back upstairs, he was like, yo, man, my bad. I totally forgot. He was like, yo, but let me introduce you to everybody here. And like he just introduced me to like all the like the different managers and everybody at the
Uh-huh.
cellar and things like that. And then like next week, basically like the week after that, I got my cellar audition. So
Whoa.
I went from LOL and
Check spots.
checks
Yeah.
and checks at Stand Up New York one weekend to literally the best club in the world, like with performing with Kevin Hart.
Now, let
And
me ask you this. With the seller audition, was that something you pursued right after Kevin introduced you to everybody who works there? Or was it, it happened on the spot? Like, okay, come in
no,
next
it
week?
was like him. It was like literally he was just like, hey, I need y'all to take a look at this guy. Like he was like, he's really funny. He was
Yeah.
like, he's really funny, and like I put my word on it. Like y'all need to, and that was just like such a big cosign because like for me, it was just so random because I had work that day. Like for me to just like I said, I just started working again. So now at this point, I'm working at a school in Harlem. And it's like I go to the school, I work, I go do my check spot, and I plan on just going back home and just relaxing.
Yeah.
And to go from work, this checks to now I'm hanging with Kevin Hart and he's co-signed to me. I never would have imagined that at all.
For the best comedy club in New York City.
Right. Like I never could have imagined something like that. And it just it shows like with a lot of stuff in comedy, um, if a lot of people think like, all right, if this person is performing here, they must be like funnier than everybody. It's like a lot of this really just comes down to like just the opportunity. There's
Yeah.
so many funny guys that are doing checks or doing bar shows, but they just haven't gotten that opportunity. There's so
Yeah.
many guys that are funny and just waiting on their moments because it's not like I became this. It's not like my comedy just went from a whole nother level in that 1 week or so. It was just the opportunity came. Like it was just, I was just literally just waiting for a moment.
The door opened for you
Yeah. So
and you were
that
prepared
that
to walk through it.
but that was the most I say that was definitely in my years of doing comedy, that was one of the most random things. And that one moment just changed everything for me.
Well, first and foremost, congratulations.
Yeah.
I have seen you, I've watched your stuff online and I've seen you perform live myself. And to me, you are an absolute standout. That is why I reached out to you after I saw you perform live. I was like, this guy,
Thank
not
you.
knowing that story and not knowing that history about you, I could tell. I was like, this guy is fucking awesome. Like he's
uh,
just so your delivery, everything, it's incredible. And I urge anyone who doesn't know about you to check you out. So do you get so now you can perform at the cellar, you can book
mhm.
spots there.
Yeah.
And that's
and
incredible.
and that made me step it up.
Of
That
course.
because it's like you have to step it up performing there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because
Yeah.
it would be nice. Whereas like you don't know who you're going up after. It's nice where um even like I remember I was there. This might have been like I guess 2 months now.
Hmm.
Like I was doing the new joke night. Chappelle popped in
Yeah.
and did like a hour and a half, 2 hours, and we all still went up after him. So things like that just makes you better. Where you want to hold yourself to the standard of the other guys around you.
And that is the level that the comedians that perform at the cellar, they do hold themselves up to that level. They are able to meet that
Mm,
marker. I've gone there very many times. Every time I've gone there, a celebrity has popped in and done well over 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour. Aziz Ansari came in, he did his spot.
mm,
I had tickets to see him at Madison Square Garden. This was years ago, later on in the week, and I went to the cellar on a Monday and watched him do his whole set for Madison Square Garden. I was
yeah.
like, man, this was better at the cellar. I've seen Amy Schumer pop in. I saw Chris Rock pop in. He was so funny, and he just like didn't give a fuck. He had a little bit of like food on his tie or his
Yeah.
jacket. It was just like, and I'm like, man, he's so real and he's so funny. So
Mm.
that's incredible, and I urge anyone who can go see you at the cellar to go watch you do your thing.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
of course, of course. Now, what do you have coming up next? What are some projects you're excited about, or where can people come see you
Um,
perform? What do you got going on?
Next, what am I doing next? I know I'm at the stand this weekend. I'm at the stand this weekend, and then like I'm getting back into colleges.
Uh huh.
Like I've been doing a bunch of colleges this just like within the past 2 years or so, and
Yeah.
that's something that came from me performing at the Comedy Cellar. I happened to do a show one night, and then the next day I got an email from this guy. He was like, "Hey, I work with this college agency. I don't know if you have any representation,
Hmm.
but I would love to talk to you about it." So it's like just little things like that where I say that one random night it just took me so much further
Yeah.
in my career. So yeah, with the colleges, I know this week I gotta go to Missouri, and then I have a few virtual schools coming up. So that's definitely something I want to get back into. As far
Yeah.
as not even just doing them virtually for colleges, I want to start doing more. I did it last year in the wintertime, but I just definitely something I plan on doing again. Just my own self-produced virtual show for the
Yeah.
public, just for those that don't want to travel,
Of course.
because it's like it's like we're moving. People are back to moving like it's pre-pandemic, but we're still in it. So
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it is I agree. People are moving like we're not this is not happening. I just my friends just sent me a thing in our group message of a guy who was literally begging for his school as a young kid. He was begging for his school to wear masks because his
Mhm.
grandmother died of COVID.
Oh,
And
and they were laughing in the back.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
making
yeah,
fun
I saw
of
that.
him. Oh, that was crazy. I'm like, this kid is being so vulnerable, and like people are literally losing loved ones. This thing is
Right.
morphing, and people just are so married to not wearing this mask, and it's pretty disgusting. But it's
Yeah.
also, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's what is it, evolution or survival of the fittest or
Right.
whatever. If
Yeah.
they don't want to, if they
Mhm.
don't want to, rock with us and evolve with us and get vaccinated, it's a detriment to our whole country, but it's also really bad for them. So
Right. Yeah.
um
So
yeah,
yeah,
so
no, I
so
definitely.
you're moving in the direction of virtual shows, producing your own virtual shows, and
Mhm.
that's fantastic because
Uh,
even if people want to go out, there are people who are still scared to go out as they should be and want to be entertained from home. So you providing
right.
that for people is fantastic and
And
a
and I
broad way to build your
recommend it.
audience.
And I recommend it to anybody.
Uh-huh.
I recommend it to every comedian to do virtual shows. I know it sounds kind of tough because like even for me, at first when I first got hit up about doing the virtual shows, I was totally against it. I was
Of
like, "There's no
course.
way I'm doing one." I'm like that. I'm not about to just bomb at home. And then
And then
one,
have to go sit on my couch, look my dog in the eyes afterwards.
right, right, like he had to sit here and watch me struggle through this. But then after I did my first one, I started to see the people that watch Zoom shows. If somebody's watching a Zoom show, they want to be there.
Yes.
They're fully engaged, and then they make a whole night out of it.
Yeah.
So if I'm performing for a college, it might be it might be 20 boxes on the screen, but within like each Zoom window, it might be two or three people in their dorm together watching this comedy show together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, even it might be 20 screens open on the like that I could actually see, but it might be 60 or 70 people there watching all together.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend it. It made me step out my comfort zone. At first when I was doing it, I was just standing in front of my laptop, but I just wanted to make the production a little bit better. So that's why I got me a little ring light, the microphone, the
Yeah.
headphones, all of that just adds so much better to the experience
Yeah,
for
it
the
ups the
audience.
yeah, and it ups the element for them,
Mm.
and ups the experience for them because you're putting in the effort, and that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And honestly, if 20 people, you are a firsthand example of how quickly things can change in just one moment. And if any one of those 20 people, if you're doing 2 Zoom shows a night and you get 2 new fans a week, you never
No,
know what
it goes
opportunity
a long
anybody gives
way.
you. It goes a long, long way. So
Even
Anthony, where what were you going to say? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like even it made me step out my comfort to the point where I feel so comfortable performing anywhere now. So for
Good.
example, I had a show a few weeks ago at Rutgers.
Uh
I
huh.
think this was actually like last week. I had a show out there and I got to the show. And normally when I do colleges, I don't expect the kids to want. I don't want to say kids. I don't expect the students to want to come out just because. I mean, they don't know who I am. Like, if
Yeah.
you're not super famous or Instagram famous, young people just look at you like, "Who is this guy?" I'm not missing out on
Yeah.
anything. So when I do colleges, I try to get to the show early enough to walk around campus. So I go
That's
do
really
Rutgers
smart.
so I go do Rutgers. It was about the venue seated 300. So I'm thinking there's no way I'm gonna get 300 people in here. Let me go walk up and down the streets. So I go do that for about a good. I do this about an hour before the show. I get back to the venue a half hour before the like I'm supposed to start. I see this huge wave of people coming out the building. So I'm like, where are y'all going? And they were like, they said it's at capacity. And I'm like, you're serious? Like the show was filled already. So it just caught me so off guard. So when they were all coming outside, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just do some time for y'all right now. And I stood
Wow.
outside and I did about 15 minutes for them until I had to go in and start the actual show.
Oh my God.
And they appreciated that so much. Like by the time I looked at my phone, it just added so many new followers, like just on Twitter and
Yeah.
everything, and and it just blew my mind that they really appreciated it that much. But they don't
Yeah.
know how much it meant for me for them to just want to come out.
Yeah. And now they all know who you are. And they have a
Yeah,
wonderful story behind that. They're like, this guy, Anthony Moore, he came outside. We couldn't go to his show, but he did a show for us. That's such a, I'm
right,
sure your show went fantastic, but what a special memory to have made, what a special and unique memory to have made with those students.
right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
hmm
Well, that's fantastic, Anthony. If you don't mind, please tell everyone where they can follow you so they can keep up with you on social media.
I'm on everything at all that and more. That's on Twitter. What websites am I on? I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I got to get back to posting more videos.
It's hard
Um,
on TikTok, right? I have a TikTok
yeah.
too, but I'm in my early 30s, so it's like, sometimes I
Right.
can't get down with TikTok if I
No,
want
what happened? I had to sit. I kind of figure out the algorithm a little bit. Cause like I was just sitting watching YouTube videos. I felt the same way.
to. Yeah.
I'm like these videos they go viral on other websites, but on here they might hit 100, 200
Yeah, it's
views.
very random.
And
I
then
get
once it really is. But then once I like sat and watched these videos about when to post, what sounds to add, hashtags, I'm telling you, it made a huge difference.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so at all that and more on, and that's more with two O's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Twitch. I'm about to get back into really gaming
There
on
we
that.
go.
What else am I on? Twitch, TikTok. I think that's
That
all I
sounds
can
good.
think of right
It
now.
sounds like you covered all the social media
Yeah.
platforms. And I obviously am going to share all your stuff on my end. Anthony, I can't thank you enough for sharing that story on Wild Nights. I get a lot of, and it's the nature of the show. I get a lot of stories about drugs. I get a lot of stories about alcohol, and I get a lot of stories. I get some stories about sex. I love all of that because all
Yeah.
of that is wild, and
Yeah.
that's the nature of the show. But to hear a story that was wild in a different way, in an
Yeah.
unexpected way, and in a life changing way, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I loved you sharing that on my platform, and I
Yeah.
loved that happened to you. Good. Like, I love Kevin Hart, but I'll look at him just so much differently knowing that he really is the person that
Yeah. Like,
he portrays.
yeah. Cause like my first time, literally, like my first time performing out, he helped give me my first TV credit.
Uh-huh.
My first got me in the cellar, and then that led to me performing out the country for the first time. That led to me getting colleges on the road for the first time. So yeah, that one random night just led to so many different opportunities that I didn't expect at all. And also, I did try to think of like a wild story about me being drunk or high or
No, this
something
was
like that,
great.
but I was like, what's not going to get me in trouble?
Yeah, no, this
I'm like, what? I'm like, let me come out of this podcast and with a relationship still.
yes, we want
So
to keep that because she held you down, so you got to
yeah,
hold her down.
yeah.
Always. So
Mm.
yeah, that I really appreciate you sharing that story, Anthony, and I'm happy to know you.
Thank you
Happy
so
to
much.
know you. And
And
so yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say yeah, we definitely. I know we'll cross paths
I hope
many
so.
more times in the city.
Yes. Yes, I look forward to that very much, Anthony. Thank you so much for doing Wild Nights. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you.
All
Talk to
right.
you.
Bye.
Listen.